Python raise from usage. What's the difference between raise and raise from in Python? Which yields and which yields
The difference is that when you use from, the underscore cause underscore attribute is set and the message states that the exception was directly caused by. If you omit the from, then no underscore cause underscore is set, but the underscore context underscore attribute may be set as well, and the traceback then shows the context as during handling something else happened. Setting the underscore context underscore happens if you use raise in an exception handler. If you use raise anywhere else, no underscore context underscore is set either. If underscore cause underscore is set, underscore suppress underscore context underscore equals true flag is also set on the exception. When underscore suppress underscore context underscore is set to true, the underscore context underscore is ignored when printing a traceback. When raising from an exception handler where you don't want to show the context, don't want it during handling another exception happen message, then use raise from none to set underscore suppress underscore context underscore to true. In other words, Python sets a context on exceptions so you can introspect where an exception was raised, letting you see if another exception was replaced by it. You can also add a cause to an exception, making the traceback explicit about the other exception, use different wording, and the context is ignored, but can still be introspected when debugging. Using raise from none lets you suppress the context being printed. See the raise statement documentation. The from clause is used for exception chaining. If given, the second expression must be another exception class or instance, which will then be attached to the raise exception as the underscore cause underscore attribute, which is writable. If the raise exception is not handled, both exceptions will be printed. A similar mechanism works implicitly if an exception is raised inside an exception handler or a finally clause. The previous exception is then attached as the new exception's underscore context underscore attribute. Also see the built-in exceptions documentation for details on the context and cause information attached to exceptions.
PEP 3134, Exception Chaining and Embedded Tracebacks introduce chaining of exceptions, implicitly chained with explicit raise exception, or implicit raise, and explicitly chained with explicit raise exception from cause. Here are the relevant paragraphs to understand their usage. Motivation during the handling of one exception. Exception A. It is possible that another exception, exception B, may occur. In today's Python, version 2.4, if this happens, exception B is propagated outward and exception A is lost. In order to debug the problem, it is useful to know about both exceptions. The underscore context underscore attribute retains this information automatically. Sometimes it can be useful for an exception handler to intentionally re-raise an exception, either to provide extra information or to translate an exception to another type. The underscore cause underscore attribute provides an explicit way to record the direct cause of an exception. Implicit exception chaining here is an example to illustrate the underscore context underscore attribute. Calling compute 0, 0 causes a zero division error. The compute function catches this exception and calls logix, but the log function also raises an exception when it tries to write to a file that wasn't open for writing. In today's Python, the caller of compute gets thrown an IO error. The zero division error is lost. With the proposed change, the instance of IO error has an additional underscore context underscore attribute that retains the zero division error. Explicit exception chaining the underscore cause underscore attribute on exception objects is always initialized to none. It is set by a new form of the raise statement. Which is equivalent to. In the following example, a database provides implementations for a few different kinds of storage, with file storage as one kind. The database designer wants errors to propagate as database error objects, but that the client doesn't have to be aware of the storage-specific details, but doesn't want to lose the underlying error information. If the call to open raises an exception, the problem will be reported as a database error, with an underscore cause underscore attribute that reveals the IO error as the original cause. Enhanced reporting. The default exception handler will be modified to report chained exceptions. The chain of exceptions is traversed by following the underscore cause underscore and underscore context underscore attributes, with underscore cause underscore taking priority. In keeping with the chronological order of tracebacks, the most recently raised exception is displayed last. That is, the display begins with the description of the innermost exception and backs up the chain to the outermost exception. The tracebacks are formatted as usual, with one of the lines the above exception was the direct cause of the following exception. During handling of the above exception, another exception occurred between tracebacks, depending whether they are linked by underscore cause underscore or underscore context underscore respectively. Here is a sketch of the procedure. PEP 415, implement context suppression with exception attributes. Then introduce suppression of exception contexts with explicit raise exception from none. Here is the relevant paragraph to understand its usage. Proposal: a new attribute on base exception underscore suppress underscore context underscore will be introduced. Whenever underscore cause underscore is set, underscore suppress underscore context underscore will be set to true. In particular, raise x from cause syntax will set x underscore suppress underscore context underscore to true. Exception printing code will check for that attribute to determine whether context and cause will be printed. Underscore cause underscore will return to its original purpose and values. There is precedence for underscore suppress underscore context underscore with the print underscore line underscore and underscore file exception attribute. To summarize, raise x from cause will be equivalent to where x dot underscore cause underscore equals cause implicitly sets x dot underscore suppress underscore context underscore. So in PEP 415, the sketch of the procedure given in PEP 3134 becomes the following.
The shortest answer. PEP 3134 says it all. Raise exception from E sets the underscore cause underscore file to the new exception. A longer answer from the same PEP. Underscore context underscore field would be set implicitly to the original error inside, except column, block unless told not to with, underscore suppress underscore context underscore equals true. Underscore cause underscore is just like context but has to be set explicitly by using from syntax. Traceback will always chain when you call raise inside an except block. You can get rid of traceback by A, swallowing an exception, except column pass, or by messing with sys.exc underscore info, directly. The long answer. Will result in the following output.
If you want some more, please share that